want to go back outside the door. They're frightened of opening the door. They're scared of being put in a home. They really want to stay in a house that's maybe been there since they were married.
Started work in 1953 and I've been working pretty well ever since. What the devil am I going to do? You think, well, all the stuff that you have, you know, the knowledge that you've acquired over all these years, are you going to put it to waste? Are you going to throw it down the sink?
And for years now, I seem to have been focusing on, you know, ill health and going to groups where I find out a wee bit about Rob's dementia, Lewy bodies, and then other groups where I find out about Mark's dementia. And I seem to have, I realise I'm not really up to date with things.
He does grieve about his wife. He lost his wife and they were inseparable, and he didn't have any family to his wife, so needless to say, it's quite a considerable loss, and I don't think he's really got over the grieving process.
I got onto the stool, then onto the chair, then onto the worktop. I didn't stand in the worktop, I knelt in the worktop. But I was still kind of frightened because I was getting kind of cagey about it. Knelt right back.
Well, I have osteoporosis, arthritis, emphysema, asthma, angina, hiatus hernia. I felt absolutely alone, isolated. I just felt worthless. And then I heard about the hands-on project.
My name's Anne Robertson. I work full-time, but I work shift work, and that's how my spare time I love to do the hands-on project. I've been doing it for 5 years now in East Kilbride, and I get great satisfaction from it.
It's an absolute gift for people who are retired or coming up to retirement. No longer, you know, would you retire and then just have nothing to do. Here's a service that provides a real opportunity for you to give something back. And we know, certainly from our work in social work in South Lanarkshire Council, that if you're not doing something in your retirement, then there's a good chance that you quite quickly would end up looking for some services from health or social work.
Well, Mrs. Dick, Humility Hands-On Project.
That's lovely, thanks very much.
So basically the couple of weeks after I finished work, I just chilled out. I did all the things I wanted to do. But I'm very much a hands-on person. I enjoy working. So it wasn't too long before I was doing all the things for myself again. And I've always done jobs around the house. I've always done work for friends, for family. Anything and everything. There's no many things I don't tackle. But because I was no longer working, I had this time during the day that I could put into, I could put the effort into. And because I wasn't doing those things at night, then I can relax more at night now.
I think it's fantastic. Part of the privilege of my job is to see that there's so many volunteers doing so many different things, and I think it's a great idea because it is those small pernickety jobs which are required to get done. Indeed, if you're not that well or you're not that mobile and you need that wee bit of assistance, so somebody to come along who's, as I say, used to dealing with folk and doing that for you, I think it's great. And I think it's good for the volunteers too. I mean, the value for them, the benefit for them, keeping them active, keeping them involved. And as I say, I've met lots of volunteers in different walks of life, but it's great to see folk doing this as well.
But with hands-on, you would go out. I mean, I was supposed to go out for an hour, and the first day we were out for an hour and a half. I spent about 2 or 3 hours, and the time went in so beautifully. So we weren't curtailing ourselves to an hour, whereas with the social workers, they're here for half an hour, or they do shopping for you. They've got so much time to do that, and that's their job. And then they leave. Whereas with the hands-on, we expand our time. It's only supposed to be an hour, but I found, especially with as they were round the corner, I was giving it 2 or 3 hours because we enjoyed it so much, and we became friends.
I've not worked for quite a number of years. I had a brain hemorrhage and I've got a kind of disability down my right side, so some days I'm worse than others, so this has been good for me as well. I feel as though I'm kind of helping people and I feel really good about it.
We just talk, but I get as much out of it as me apparently does as well, because it gives me another insight into other things. And in the hands-on, we've had a couple of courses with dementia. Somebody came from the dementia club, I think it was. Yes, and it gives you an insight into that, because I don't think any of us realise the extent of it, And we've also had an emergency first aid course, which I would never have had. So I've had a lot out of it. But that's as I say, the friendship of me, she's a character, isn't she?
So to get something involved like the hands-on project does take them out of the house, does break the day up, does make it interesting, because you can't do something like this if you're not enjoying it. And I think most people who are involved in the hands-on project are enjoying it, all of them in fact. So it's all right saying doing one thing to get you out of the house and pass your day, but it's also got to have a purpose to it. And I think the purpose in that is, it's a nice feeling to be able to do something good for the community, for people who probably are the most vulnerable.
Having suffered from ME and being sort of housebound for quite a while, get out and get back into the community and talking to people, and yes, I definitely say it has helped me. I think it's particularly good when people say, oh, can they come back again? And they look at you as friends then, and so that's great.
Oh yes.
Your visit to them is so important, and it's just, your inputs as you perceive it is pretty limited, but to them it's perhaps a highlight of their week. Perhaps you're the only person that person can see during the course of a week who's no there, who's attached to social services or somebody who has to be there. You're there because you want to be there, and everybody wants to feel needed. Everybody, no exception to that, irrespective of colour, creed or class.
Don't have family support. Most of them are in Australia, so it's not an easy thing for them to come and see me, They do keep in touch with the phone thing. I've got started dementia as well, and somebody says I should have a social worker, and I phoned the social work, but obviously they were very busy, and they had suggested that I befriend her, because this is quite lonely. I wasn't getting out, So this was my befriender.
And that was my first befriendee. So we were both of us were a wee bit strange to begin with, because neither of us really knew what to expect.
Two amateurs.
But it didn't take. I think that day we knew we were a hit.
Stuck like glue.
I believe one of the biggest barriers is what's going to happen to me on discharge. The majority of people that come in do wish to go back home. They don't wish to go into care institutions or whatever. I want to go home. I want to be safe at home. I want to remain at home for however long I can with whatever help you can give me. Home help was very much part of that person's family. Came in, could ask Jeannie to do, the curtains, do the windows, do whatever. Care assistants don't do that. So this is where the hands-on project definitely bridges that gap, and is, essential to maintaining people in their own home environment.
I had one lady that I visited at the beginning. She was younger than me, but she had the same illnesses as me. And when I went there, she got up for a couple of hours when I went there and got dressed and sat and talked to me. But other than that, she was in her bed all the time. Now she goes to swimming, she goes to keep fit, she goes to a mental health class group, and she's all over the place. She goes to the walking club and things that she couldn't do before, but because she'd get brought into the community again. Because initially it was just going up to visit her, and then it was Mum will go down to Rutherglen and get some shopping. And
one in particular, I was dealing with putting in shelves for a couple who must have been in their mid-80s, and I looked at these people They were standing watching my work, and they were holding hands.
Oh,
Now,
I know. That says it all, doesn't it?
That's the whole point.
You go and help them stay together.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing too, isn't it?
That's it, because a lot of the work is based on permitting people to remain in their own homes in the environment they've lived in for 40, 50, 60 years.
Well, you feel quite humble, because one of the ladies I visit's 101, and she is amazing. She can go out every day for a walk, she reads books, she doesn't need glasses, she's not got a hearing aid, and she's just amazing.
Oh my God.
And she
She's
makes
better
you
than
feel, you know, well, she's 101, I can do that, you know, and she's just great.
We like to think we're maintaining as much independence as is possible. Rob's 80, I'm 70 this year, so we're just doing the best we can. I think it's marvellous the way they pop in and out. They're so reassuring. No problem. Nothing is ever any problem. And that is so reassuring, you know, when you're faced with a multiplicity of problems. So it's just the whole business of their coming in is very uplifting for me and very reassuring to know that I've got somebody there I can rely on.
80% of the people I see, to be honest with you, are widows, and their families are away, and the only people they see is the people that come up to the house, or occasionally friends. Most of them are pretty lonely, and you have to spend time with them. And this is the problem. Who's going to do it if this project finishes?
When I can't do jobs myself, I feel frustrated. I feel that I'm losing my independence because I used to move the furniture myself. Now with the osteoporosis and the arthritis, it's getting harder and harder to move things, and with the emphysema, then I'm getting so short of breath that I can't do it myself, and it's just really annoying.
Older people, quite often the first thing they'll say to us when we go in is, I'm not going into a home, I'm not going into a home, and they're very fearful of a house being taken off them. So, you know, the fact that this is not a statutory service coming in, they see it as friends coming in, and that can make all the difference to them.
This week I went to visit my wee lady, and she took a stroke while I was talking to her. So, you know, the fast advert you've got on the television, it was just like that. Phoned and got an ambulance, and because she couldn't speak, I had to go with her because the doctors need all sorts of information to book her in, because I know her date of birth and everything.
It's stupid when you're thinking at my age, 30, even dream of going up the stool, up the chair and onto the worktop. So you're not thinking straight either, do you, you know? But you do things, I mean, because you're independent, you're in the habit of doing things, so automatically you go and do it. But as I say, that I'll not do that again, mind you. So it's nice for the likes of Hugh to come and do a job for you, for he's very bubbly, very funny, what else? Very funny and good looking. And good looking. So what more can I say about that, eh?
Yes, I would like to see the project develop, because again, it's not just about the job getting done, but it's the social contact, and it's dealing with the issues of isolation as well, which, you know, hands-on can do through that. So I think there's a need for the project. I'd want to see it spread widely as possible. I'd want to see it prosper, of course, in Lanarkshire as well.
The health service is very much a service which works much more effectively when there are shared arrangements, where we've got partnership arrangements with other partners. Now, people tend to think on that as statutory partners, whether that be education, social work, housing. But increasingly there's a recognition that, you know, the third sector, volunteers, carers, other sort of non-government organisations have got a significant role to play.
And this is where we've got the support, and we're confident in giving it to our patients and the number, and we actually have the number now on our documentation we leave in the house with everyone. is the hands-on project. That's how highly we value it. It's there with NHS 24, the social work standby and hands-on project.
I think the hands-on project is unique in Rutherglen and Cambuslang in that, as I said earlier, it looks to provide practical support in terms of carrying out jobs around the house and also companionship to older people. So I think it's an excellent service. I think it would be fantastic to see it rolled out across South Lanarkshire. And indeed I think it's something that communities throughout Scotland should look to, and if they've not got a project like this, they should certainly look at it as an example of best practice of how to support older people in our community.
I don't know what I would do without them. I wouldn't know who to turn to. As I say, I've only got a boy and he's ill, so he can't help me. So who do I turn to?